Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. In a major setback to Mamta Banerjee, Supreme Court today has stayed the FIRs registered against the Enforcement Directorate officers till the next hearing in February in the I-PAC raid matter. Supreme Court has also directed the preservation of the CCTV footage of the premises searched on January 8th. Supreme Court has also observed that the plea raises serious questions on alleged interference by the state agencies in the ED investigation, warning that obstruction of central agencies probing serious offences could lead to lawlessness. Notices have been issued, and a counter needs to be filed in 2 weeks from now. So we'll try and understand that what are the legal and political takeaways from today's developments in the Supreme Court. Joining me this evening is Kirti Roy, lawyer and activist. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. We have Shikha Mukherjee, senior journalist, joins us. Thank you so much, Shikha, for joining. And I'll begin with Kirti. Kirti, how do you see the developments? Is it a major setback for Mamta Banerjee? Now that the CCTV footage needs to be preserved, apart from that, the FIR against the ED officials has been stayed. Yes.
Look, in my personal opinion, it is a constitutional crisis, and the government employees, police officers, ED, are getting impunity. So there are system in our criminal justice system. Also, it is sanctioned by Constitution. So now Supreme Court is going day to day by the hands of political power in central. But it is a federal state, and there is the power cut by the center of the states. It is going on at random, and it is sanctioned also by the Supreme Court. It is most unhappy situation here.
No, but why do you say that it's a constitutional crisis? Because you mentioned in the beginning that it's a constitutional crisis. Why do you say that it's a constitutional crisis?
Both are the governments. Both are elected. They also have some same footings in the law. It is not only the central government can take action, state government also take action by the law. But it is problem of India that the political parties are taking their arms, ammunition, police, machinery, courts, etc., including judiciary, it is taking in their control. It is the problem of the system.
Okay, so you are saying it's a, but what do you see now happening in the next 2 weeks till the time the date of the next hearing doesn't take place? What would you expect Mamta Banerjee now to do? Of course, now they have to file their replies. They have to file the counter replies. But what could happen politically in the meanwhile? 2 weeks is a long time.
Khel chalega. Already today, I came to know that one incident happened. Jharkhand police raided ED office. So it is the situation. There is no clear-cut explanation, and the Supreme Court is violating its own rule. Jabalpur DM case has been being violated.
No, but Supreme Court clearly said, Kirti, that any kind of interference by the state would lead to lawlessness. Now, this kind of a statement coming from the Supreme Court is a serious observation. And I'll once again read that they have said that this plea raises serious issues on alleged interference by the state agencies. What does that mean according to you?
Okay, to me, First, Supreme Court should examine themselves first. What about Babri case? It is not demolished. What about other cases? Supreme Court judges are taking political seat in Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha after giving final judgment, a partisan judgment. What it is going on? It is going on day by day. So
You are
first,
raising
they should.
questions. You are raising questions on the Supreme Court, but what I'm wanting to ask you is that they have observed that this is an alleged interference. Now, how do you look at the larger question of interference by Mamta Banerjee while the raids are on? What you're saying, I'm not dismissing it completely, but
I am.
how
I
do
am.
you see
I am.
the larger interference issue? Yes.
I am talking about legal matter. So Supreme Court framed every government action should be just, fair, reasonable in Maneka Gandhi case. Why after 10 years one raid is going on? And
Okay.
what Mamata Banerjee had to take in those files? I have no idea. Government is not clear cut. There is many gray areas. So I am questioning government ED action as well as Mamata Banerjee's action. Those both are taking their laws in their own hand according
Right.
to their whims. And
Right.
Supreme
Okay.
Court did not look many things.
Right. Okay. So you are saying the Supreme Court has not looked into many things, whereas you hold both the Mamata Banerjee government and the central government equally responsible for what has happened. Okay. Now I'll come to Shikha now. Shikha, how do you see this situation? The notice has been served. The reply has to be filed in 2 weeks. CCTV footage has to be preserved. And the biggest question is that the FIR against the ED officers has been stayed. What does it mean for Mamata Banerjee politically? And how do you see this entire political situation now playing out?
I think, and before I say anything, I'd like to say that the Supreme Court has invited a backlash against itself from Mamata Banerjee, and that's going to come in a few hours, I'm sure, because the problem with with what has happened and the way in which the Supreme Court has handled the issue, I'm sure there were other ways of. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but I'm sure that there must be other ways of handling it, because there can't be just one way of handling something. I'm quoting from the Supreme Court's own observation in a different case. In a functional democracy governed by the rule of law, perception matters. If this is what the Supreme Court believes, then the perception matters that the FIR, they may have stayed, they may have slammed the Mamata Banerjee government for allegedly interfering in an investigation by the ED. And having said that, the Supreme Court also has to look at what it has said about the ED and the CBI in the past. It has not sort of garlanded it with roses. It has in fact indicted the CBI and the ED for the way in which it has behaved in other situations. Therefore, the perception matters. Is the Supreme Court now defending the CBI and the ED in indicting Mamata Banerjee? Or is it that they're being playing fair? We don't know. Because in this case, perception matters. And what is going to happen? Where does perception matter? If the Supreme Court is saying that this perception matters, then where does this perception matter? Not in the High Court, because that's where, not in the court, because there everything is documented and written down and to be read for ages in the future, because that sets a precedent. So where does this perception issue matter? It matters in the public domain. It matters where the people are sort of viewing the situation playing out in front of them. So in that situation, the Supreme Court can't be a proactive player. The ED can't be a proactive player. The only people who can be proactive players are A, The government of India, because the ED and the CBI report to the government of India, and B, Mamata Banerjee. Mamata Banerjee is the other person. So what we're going to see is what we're going to see in the coming days is a sort of Mamata Banerjee is certainly going to fight back and say, look, the ED was doing things that they shouldn't have been doing. The fact of the matter remains that Jharkhand, as Mr. Kirti Roy just pointed out, in Jharkhand, the police has raided an ED office. If you remember, in Tamil Nadu, in Madurai, also the same thing happened. And therefore, things are going to get very, very ugly over the next few weeks. It's going to carry.
You are saying that today's, after what Supreme Court has observed and what it has said on the I-PAC raid case, this could have a trickle effect in the entire country, like what examples you've given, like Jharkhand, Tamil Nadu. Is ED going to face a backlash, might face a backlash across the country?
You see, that's the thing, Nilu. There is the state ruling parties in opposition to the BJP ruling in the states have this option of fighting back, which has happened in Tamil Nadu, which is now happening in Jharkhand. So, is this going to continue? The ED can't handle it. The ED can't handle it because this is a political backlash.
Right. No, but you're wearing a journalist.
Perception matters in this case. I repeat, I'm quoting the Supreme Court. Perception matters. Perception is a public domain, not in the legal domain.
Right. But if I have to ask you, you're wearing a journalist's hat. If you have to analyze the situation on both sides, whether it is Mamata Banerjee's side or the Supreme Court, how it seemingly, it appears that they are defending CBI or ED, how would you analyze this observation of today by the Supreme Court?
See, the Supreme Court had no other choice except to say what it did. What Mamata Banerjee did on the 8th of January was obviously in violation of the codes by which government functions. You don't barge into a raid. Plain and simple. If a raid is going on, the raid goes on. You don't barge in.
No, so what I feel, Shikha, that there is a need apparently by the courts to rein in both sides, whether it is Mamata Banerjee or whether it is the ED officials. Does the court appear to be doing that as of now?
Too early, that is too early to say, and that is again a matter of my perception. Why should I go in for perception where the Supreme Court is concerned? The Supreme Court has to act in a way which seems reasonable,
right,
and just. It can't and fair. It can't act in a manner beyond that. I will test it on those measures, on those sort of principles. I'm not going to test it on my personal view of the matter.
Right. Okay. Now let me just pick on the line what you said and ask Kirti Roy the same question: that has the Supreme Court appeared fair and reasonable when it has stayed the FIR against the ED officials? Of course, the other things like preserving the CCTV footage and then also making an observation on the lawlessness regarding the alleged interference. Does Supreme Court appear reasonable?
No. Both the parties brought some issues before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court asked one order at least, that no action against the state government. The police should be stopped, but ED will not stop. That is unwelcoming, because everybody has some ground. And law and order, any issue, it is the state subject till now, till today in our constitution. So ED has power, police also has same power. If the case should go against Mamata Banerjee, that why? Because she took some documents from ED, that is separate. But it is against the government. It is against why they entered. It is possible to enter into the venue. Why not ED block the area? How they entered into the premises? So everything, it is, in my opinion, it is nautanki, political nautanki, and political drama will go on in many ways until election come.
No, but sir, if you talk about specifically about the interference issue, and what the Supreme Court has said, that state agencies interfering with central probe, serious issue. Now, if it is interference from the state side, will the ED interference not be taken into consideration? Because they are also seemingly interfering on the eve of elections. Will that also not be seen? So how does the court address the larger interference issue?
Look, all this interference, all these things, I already stated 3 points. In 1978, Maneka Gandhi case, Supreme Court decided that every state action should be just, fair, reasonable. Why ED came after 2014, in 2006, after 11, 12 years for raiding this issue? Why 12 years they could not do anything? One old case, and all cases are political. The accused are political, the prosecution is political. It is political drama going on in Indian political scene. So I think it is what Sika Madam has said, perception. You have to think what their perception, our perception, and in their TMC's perception, and above all, BJP's perception.
Right. All right. I also want to read out certain portions of the order because they are very important, and then we will analyze again the political and the legal ramifications of this. Let me read out certain portions.
Just 1 minute, Nilu. Just 1
Yes.
minute.
Yes.
You also put me as lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I am a human rights activist. Please correct this.
Okay, fine. Now let me read out the order for you. Counter affidavit be filed in 2 weeks. In the meanwhile, it is directed that the respondents shall preserve CCTV cameras and other storage devices containing the footage of both the premises searched on 8th. It is also directed that other proceedings and investigation related to ED officers shall remain stayed till next date. Then Abhishek Manu Singhvi intervenes and he says, normally your lordships don't stay the investigation. No coercive steps direction is another option. So then again the order says, according to us, adherence of rule of law in the country and to allow each organ to function independently, it is necessary to examine the issue so that the offenders are not allowed to be protected under the shield of law enforcing agencies of a particular state. According to us, larger questions are involved and have been raised, which, if allowed to remain undecided, would further worsen the situation, and there will be a situation of lawlessness prevailing in one or the other state, considering that different outfits are governing at different places. True it is that any central agency has no power to interfere with election work of any party. But at the same time, if central agencies are acting bona fide to investigate any serious offense, question arises as to whether taking shield of party activity agencies can be restricted from carrying out power. Then Mr. Singhvi, the order also says that Mr. Singhvi would submit that CM is Z plus protected. Therefore, it was the duty of DGP to accompany her when she entered the premises. So now I want to understand, Shika, coming to you, and then again I'll come to Kirti, that I've just read out certain portions of the order which were very, very crucial. And Dr. Singhvi also did point out that there was another option of no coercive action. But then all of a sudden, the proceedings, I mean, the FIR has been stayed against the ED officials. But this particular line where it is talking about the fact that if central agencies are acting bona fide to investigate any serious offense, question arises as to whether taking shield of party activity agencies can be restricted from carrying out power. Now, how do we come to know the truth, whether it was acting bona fide? Now, this is another question which has to be debated. It has to be proved. How does one take this point forward?
Well, the fact is that the Supreme Court used the word bona fide. If it hadn't, then the issue of mala fide wouldn't be there. See, if you use the word bona fide, it means that you are saying that you are assuming that this is bona fide, but it may not be. Now, that's what the Supreme Court is saying. It may not be bona fide. It's raising the question within that statement. So having said that, yes, it needs to be investigated, but let me come to something else, which is that, it is a larger issue. It's a larger concern that we're looking at. And in that situation, there are problems because the Supreme Court itself has described these agencies as caged parrot, and has instructed them to act as uncaged parrots. It has called it its master's voice. There are former directors of these agencies who have said that there is no question that political pressure is not exercised on these agencies by all regimes. And they have also said that this is by all regimes. And, it's like, it's almost as though here are institutions, namely the ED or the CBI, which operate directly under the union government, whose reputation is not exactly good. Its reputation lacks credibility, is the best way of putting it. You don't call somebody a caged parrot if they have a lot of credibility, nor do you say it's master's voice if you think that they are actually independent and impartial and fair. So, having said that, the ED's raid and the timing of the ED's raid is what is actually the issue right here. The issue is not whether the ED should have raided. The ED is free to raid whenever it wants and however it wants. The problem is the timing. And therefore, this issue of political pressure and the ED's reputation in the Supreme Court's own judgment comes into play. And this is where the perception issue matters most.
Right.
The Supreme Court says that everything should, that the investigation agency should be like Caesar's wife, above board. Well, if it is above board, then why are you indicting it?
Right.
Why are you then saying, and then there are all these other comments from within the CBI and the ED that we are actually working under political pressure. So in this case, what is the issue? If you look at this, let me just give you a tiny little bit of chronology. 8th of January, the raid happens in the morning. Mamta intervenes about 11 o'clock. So from 6 to 11, the ED was doing whatever it wanted on the premises. Those 4 hours have to be accounted for now. What happened in those 4 hours? Were they just having chai there, or what were they doing there? 4 hours is a hell of a long time. 1. 2, if this is a bona fide raid, then there are 4 other places where it has raided. So where's the paperwork from there? The ED can say that we have uncovered this, that, or the other from those 4 places. Let them produce the documents, or at least let them do what they are very good at, which is sustain leaks of large chunks of information, because they leak information like a sieve. The third thing is that you issue a statement at the same time. In the evening, you issue a statement. And in the statement, nobody's asked you whether this is a political conspiracy. But you go and talk about it in such a way, this is like defending, how have they defended themselves? The search is evidence-based and is not targeted at any political establishment. Are Baba, why are you responding to Mamata Banerjee? Mamata Banerjee said what she had to say.
Also, the way BJP has responded, I'll just read a quick tweet and on Mamta, what Amit Malviya has written immediately after massive embarrassment for Mamata Banerjee. This is an older tweet where they are talking about how the lawyers, how the scene became chaotic in the Calcutta High Court. This is a different one. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, go ahead. I thought it was the latest tweet. Yes, Shikha, and then I'll take the concluding comments.
Yeah. So look at what the ED says. Evidence-based is not targeted at any political establishment. No party office has been searched. The search is not linked to any elections or irregular money, and it's all about regular money laundering. And Baba, you don't need 3 statements to make 3 sentences to say the same thing. This is, the lady does protest too much. So it is very, very revealing. All these things are very revealing.
You don't think, Shikha, that it's some kind of a massive jolt to Mamata Banerjee? Of course, she will fight back.
Of course it is.
Come as a setback.
Oh, of course it is a jolt. She went on record that it is a jolt. She stood in that Loudon Street premises and shouted that it was a jolt to her. She accused the ED, this is why the ED statement came. She accused the ED of political interference, saying that this is my party's documents which are there. They have nothing to do with money laundering.
No, but when that day, of course, she did admit, she spoke to the reporters also holding that green file. But today's observation by the Supreme Court, whatever legal developments have taken place today, do you think it comes as a setback? Very quickly, and then I'll come for the.
No, I don't think it's as I said, it's a matter of now perception, because what Mamata Banerjee is going to fight back with is that the Supreme Court is biased.
All right.
And she started saying that. She started saying that at the same press conference that you're talking about, where she was holding this file in her hand. So her position has been consistent from January 8th.
Right.
That's the center against us.
Right. All right. So if you look at the larger picture, Kirti, I'm coming for the concluding comments to you. Now, how would you see the things shaping up? Like one example you gave, and that was of Jharkhand. But the larger interference issue, how is it going to be addressed, and especially in context with West Bengal, because the elections are around the corner? How do you think, or what could happen in the coming days?
I told you earlier that to me it seems like the next Supreme Court hearing, here will be some even kai hallabol hoga. Many meetings will be going on in West Bengal, but it is a political crisis. It is a constitutional crisis. What Supreme Court observed, what upon these actions, now it is the duty of the Supreme Court that they should pass such an order which is reasonable, not one-sided. If it is one-sided, then like Narendra Modi, Supreme Court will be also questionable before the people of India.
One quick clarification, few people were also saying, because and that's why I want to clarify this, that you said constitutional crisis. Can this particular case be taken as an example to even dismiss the government and impose the president's rule? I'll also take this comment from Shikha. Yes, Kirti, to you first, and then to Shikha. Yes. Yes, Kirti.
Presidential rule, it will be another problematic weapon to resolve this small issue. Now, question is what government can do, what police, what ED, central agencies can do. Can they do everything, everywhere, every point, at their whims? Even after 12 years, after complaint, they can rate 1 year. So, many things are now on the floor. Supreme Court is not an idiot, I think. So they should understand and they have their merit and they should pass such an order so that people of India can place their faith upon this court. But this order which is passed today, it is not to welcome. It is not good judgment.
Okay. So, Shikha, the same question what I asked Kirti, that can this result into a bigger political crisis or a constitutional crisis where they would go ahead to the extent of dismissing Mamata Banerjee's government and also imposing the president's rule?
Well, if they do so, then the election has already been written off. Because there is no way in which presidential rule in West Bengal can be imposed and the BJP can win. So the BJP, I don't think, is going to commit political suicide.
Okay.
And that's a judgment. See, invoking Article 356 is a matter for the central government to do. No? The Prime Minister will have to decide. Will he want to do this? Committing political suicide? I doubt it.
Yeah. So lots to look forward as far as this case is concerned. I'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Shikha Mukherjee, Kirti Roy. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.